show me loving. I need your loving. Cause I'm drowning in something and I can't come out. So show me loving. I need loving. Need myself, need enough. It's like being a doctor to a crushing heart. I want you to know how bad it hurts. You keep it inside along my heart. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now? The way I do. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now? The way I
We get it? Okay, every time I look over, I'm like, the microphone doesn't work. Here we go. Let's take a step back real quick. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today on this beautiful Money Monday? That's right. It is Money Monday, December 5th, and I'm excited to be back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to get back to work with each and every one of you. So traders inside the chat, go ahead, start me off strong with a big old alpha day trading. Good morning. How are we feeling? How are we doing? Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you guys are all set, ready to rock, ready to attack this day. Team, there's a lot of great opportunity in front of us, right? Last week was an amazing week in the market, and I do believe this is going to be an amazing week as well. So strap in, because we are not letting off that gas pedal. We are hitting it hard once again this week. Our goal to bleed a lot of that great momentum in from November into the month of December. Make sure you guys are hitting your goals. Make sure you guys are ending this year profitable and strong. And again, I'm here to help you every single day, and I want to see everybody locking in those amazing profits, throwing those profits inside of Profits Chat every single day. If you guys are over on YouTube, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to YouTube, to our live session. If I can't even talk right now. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. I go live every single morning right at 9 o'clock to get you guys prepared for the day, talk about my top stocks, and give you my personal plan as well as far as what I'm looking at, what I'm looking to do in the market today to lock in profits. And we do this Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 9:30, and then at least one day during the week, I go live all day. So you can watch me trade live, trade with me and the team live, get your questions answered, have some fun, learn something new. It's a great time. And again, I do that at least one time during the week, absolutely free. So if this is your first time here, good morning. Go ahead and say good morning. Where are you tuning in from right now at this point in time? And again, make sure you hit that subscription little button, little notification bell, so you guys are all set, ready to rock and roll. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive into it, talk about the top stocks for today, what I'm expecting to see happen in the market. Make sure you guys are all set, ready to rock and roll. Make sure you guys are prepared to attack this day to lock in some big time profits. All right. Brett, Johnny, Holmes, Tyrone, Jamie, Joey, Stir, Steve, Kits King, Mr. G. Ladies and gentlemen, inside of the Alpha Day Trading community, good morning and happy Money Monday. Over on YouTube, how we doing, Rich? The Jeweler, Yari, Mr. G, Gino, Yellen, Alan, Joey, Steve, good morning, how? All right, guys, you're all set, ready to rock and roll. I'm all set, ready to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and dive into it and make today an amazing day and lock in those big time profits. All right, traders. All right, so again, it's about 9:05 in the morning. We got about 25 minutes until the market opens on up. Got a great week ahead of us. There's so many things that we need to be aware of. Okay, so what should we be aware of today in the market? Well, 10 a.m. Before I do anything, I want to talk about economic data. 10 a.m. this morning. Okay, we do have ISM non-manufacturing PMI data for November of high importance. So that means if you are in a trade out of the gates, you should consider being out of that trade before data at 10 a.m. and then wait about 3 to 5 minutes until after the markets digest that data, because we do typically get really, really strong reactions intraday based on data. I mean, go back and look at Thursday. We had a massive drop on off. Anytime we have data, right, being released at, say, 10, 1 o'clock, whatever the case is, we know that the markets react usually aggressively when it's of high importance. And today, ISM non-manufacturing PMI data for November is of high importance. That's at 10 o'clock. Okay, but I also want to talk about what we have going on the rest of this week as well. And here we come into good old December 9th. That's going to be this Friday. This Friday at 8:30, we do have PPI data month over month for November, just so you guys are completely aware. So we do have month over month, year over year core PPI data for November, which is of high importance. December 9th, 2022 at 8:30. That's going to be this Friday. So mark that on your calendar. Do not forget that we do have some important inflation data coming on out into this week. Do I think that's going to make the market really, really slow and not provide us with a lot of opportunities this week? I don't think so. I could definitely see, Thursday in the day being slower leading up to that Friday morning economic data, but I don't think that's going to take a lot of volume and a lot of action away from this market, right? We're definitely sitting at some key areas. We're definitely going to dive into that here in a moment on the SPY, and I definitely think depending on what we have take place right around this 200-day moving average could really determine where we're heading to into the week. And we could definitely still see a lot of great opportunities, a lot of big movements, and be able to lock in some big time profits. All right. So again, economic data today, 10 o'clock. Make sure you're positioned and you have a plan around that economic data. Last thing I want to see you guys doing is having a large position to the call side, for example. The markets react negatively and the markets dump, and you're like, why did I just lose every penny I had in that trade? Just know 10 o'clock, the markets could move and definitely react to that economic data, guys. So be prepared and be planned correctly. But let's go ahead and talk about our top penny stocks for today, and then we'll dive into the S&P, the SPY, the Qs, some of these larger cap stocks that I'm looking at as well, and I'll share my game plan with you guys today, all right? But right now, we do have about 2 penny stocks that I would consider having on watch today, and there may be a couple other ones as well, such as WBEV, as WBEV is now leading the board, currently up 85%. And, looking at news, we can't really see a reason as to why, this stock is currently up, 85% at this point in time. It's a low float stock. It's 6 million in float. It's trading good volume compared to its average. It's up 98%, spiking up towards around 40 cents at this point in time. But you go take a look at WBEV. Is there any news on this stock, right? Is it a prior day mover? Is it moving off momentum? Is there 50% of the short float, right? Is this a highly shorted stock as to why the stock is almost up 100% at this point in time? Are there any filings, right? We always want to understand why the stock's moving, right? Is it going to be a pump and dump? Is it pumping on up to where it's just going to fade and fall when the market opens on up? Is there a credible reason for the stock to be moving? Why is it up 93% at this point in time? And when we take a look at WBEV, there's no news, there's no filings. Only 1% of the float is short. So, with that being said, guys, there's not a lot to really go off of right now here in pre-market as to why I would really spend a lot of time to get you prepared on something like this when it could just be a little bit of this pump on up here in pre-market because nothing else is moving with penny stocks, and then just fade and fall. Definitely add it to a watch list. We'll come back and look at it when the market opens and see if it's still moving, see if it's still consistent, see if it's predictable, see if there's opportunity here. But the last thing I want to do is build this really extravagant plan, get you guys all set and prepared just to see the stock fade and fall, which it very well could, because there's no news, no filings, there's no catalyst or really like strong, credible reason, for this stock to be moving on up at this point in time. Another stock that we had moving on up was ENSC this morning, right? So ENSC this morning, dropping a press release announcing completion of clinical portion of overdose protection trial. So ENSC this morning did have a press release at 8 o'clock. Again, they were announcing the completion of clinical portion of overdose protection and announcing that it successfully completed that study. So is that a great press release? It's not. They're not meeting primary endpoints, phase 2, phase 3 trials. It's definitely not a 4 to 5 star press release that really causes the stock to get some great action like we saw here Friday. Like Friday, we had a really strong, really great press release on AVXL, right? They actually met their primary and secondary endpoints there with AVXL on Friday. And that stock was a massive mover in pre-market and so predictable, and we were able to lock in some great profits. ENSC just doesn't have a strong press release, but there is a press release. But here's what we just saw with ENSC. Press release drops. Stock spikes on up to $3 and then dumps on back down to $2.20, right? Not able to hold its gains. Sellers coming on in, and a lot of sellers coming on in, pushing the stock all the way back down into the low 220. So you look at something like ENSC, it's definitely not the best looking stock right now at this point in time. Could you add it to a watch list and see if it does start to move today? Absolutely, right? If it starts to move on back up, if traders start to migrate and shift back over to ENSC, and then it becomes predictable, it's consistent, we have better volume, we have better price action, and it looks like it's developing nice, and it looks like we could have some opportunity to lock in profits, that's when we go look at it. That's when we get prepared and make this one of our top stocks for the day. But right now, we really go across the board from top to bottom. WBEV, SXTC, SHPH. We look at all of these stocks that are moving right now, and it's slim pickings, right? There's not really too much happening with penny stocks at this point in time, right? SHPH is another stock that's moving on up from 240 up towards around 280. Spiked up to 330 this morning. Why? That's the thing. Why? Right? Why did the stock move on Friday? Right? It was one of Friday's top gainers, but why did it move Friday? Was there news or filings or really, really large short interest? There is not. So again, it is one of Friday's top gainers. We are getting a little bit of momentum from Friday's move here, right, into pre-market this morning, and we could see that continue today, possibly, but was there a strong catalyst as to why the stock is up nearly 100% since the low of Friday to the levels we hit here in pre-market? There is no justification as to why the stock is up almost 100%. And we need to be very, very picky in this kind of market with penny stocks. We got to be picky, right? If the stock doesn't have a strong reason to be moving, we do not want to get caught up into something like we saw here with TOPS, right? Everybody last week is talking about TOPS. TOPS, guys, very risky pump and dump stock. It likes to pump, but it likes to dump. It likes to pump, it likes to dump. It likes to pump, it likes to dump. And then you get a nice offering to where the stock is now down 60%, right? What we're seeing right now with penny stocks can be deemed to be risky, very risky. Are they tradable? Yes, but do they really require a really fine-tuned, detailed plan to where we're going to buy it at 4 and hold it until 7 the entire day? No, right? Because that's not the type of market that we're in. We always have to be assessing market conditions. A lot of riskier stocks, a lot of pump and dump stocks, a lot of stocks that are moving on up with no news, no justification, which makes them riskier. Are they scalpable? Are they tradable? Yes, but is there anything right now at this point in time to say, hey, we come down to 250, we're buying it, we're going to take profits at 3? I don't think so. I think that's a little too risky. We got to take it 1 minute at a time. Let the thing develop, let it set up, and if something presents itself, that's when we get prepared. That's when we build our trade plans. That's when we lock in those profits. Now we start looking at the SPY and the Qs and AMD and Tesla. Absolutely. If Tesla starts cracking this trend line, we're playing puts down to 180, whatever the case is. So penny stocks, market conditions, not the best a lot of scattered volume, a lot of randomness, a lot of stocks moving on up with no news, no filings, really no justification for these stocks to be moving, right? Market conditions, cold. Add these stocks to a watch list. Understand that these stocks could move today. They could present us with opportunities, but at this point in time, we need to really sit back on our hands and be a little bit more patient with stocks like SHPH and see how they do develop. Look at stocks like SXTC and see how they develop versus just trying to get on into these and watching them dump on off and taking a necessary loss. So that's how we should position ourselves today. That's how I'm going to position myself today with penny stocks. I'm just going to look at our scanners and look and see what starts to move when the market opens on up. Okay. And when the market opens on up, watch your breakout scanner, watch your halt and resume scanner, watch your high day momentum scanner, look and see where traders are going at that point in time. We'll get you guys prepared and we'll make it happen. But today, I would say like 80 to 90% of the focus still remains with larger cap stocks, looking at the SPY, definitely watching the Qs. I am going to be watching AMD today and throughout the rest of this week. I'm going to be watching Tesla today throughout the rest of this week as well. And then Netflix possibly today into the end of the week. So here's my game plan today with the S&P. And I posted this up this morning inside of levels for you guys as well. So here is my game plan for today with the SPY. So SPY's game plan for today, it all comes down to that red line that you see here. Okay, and that red line is my 200-day moving average. This is a key level that the SPY has not been able to break above several times this year. The 200 SMA is one of the strongest levels of support and resistance when it comes down to a moving average. So we come up to the 200-day moving average, we get rejected. We come up to the 200-day moving average, we get rejected. Look at what we did last week, right around this red line, right? We come up to the 200-day moving average, we get rejected. We get rejected. We come down and we had a lot of price action Friday around the 200-day moving average. A lot of resistance, a lot of support. We can definitely see there's a lot of interest around that 200-day moving average. And so that red line on my chart is the 200-day moving average that we're starting to bounce off right now here in pre-market. It all comes down to that red line. That's your 200-day moving average right around 403.70. Okay, if we're able to stay above this level of support, we can see the SPY bounce back up to our yearly downtrend. That downtrend that we were playing puts off of here in August for that 415 gap fill. Beautiful swing trade plus 100%. The same downtrend we have not been able to break above a couple times this year. The same downtrend that we've seen a lot of price action around over the last few days. Right? We see here Thursday, we're above it, but we fall back below it. It turns into resistance. Friday, it turns into resistance. That is going to be a very, very key level of resistance is that orange downtrend, that orange line that comes across all of these highs here on the daily time frame. Okay, so if we do stay above that red line, our 200-day moving average here on the SPY, where do we see the SPY going to next? Right back up to that orange line. That's your yearly downtrend. If we were ever break above that orange line, that's a sign of strength. That's a sign of bullishness. We could see a Santa Claus rally and see the markets continue to move higher into the end of year as there's still a lot of hedge funds and money managers that are sitting on a lot of cash. Historically, some of the most amount of cash that a lot of these hedge funds are sitting on average, usually it's 5-10%. Right now it's like what, 25-30%. It's still a lot. And so if we start to see a lot of that movement and a lot of that momentum, a lot of that action, and we're staying above the 200-day moving average and we're breaking that downtrend, that could bring in a lot of money to the market. And we could see that Santa Claus rally and see the markets continue to move higher into the end of the year. I do believe it really comes down to what we do right around that 200-day moving average. Are we going to hold the support? And are we going to start to break that downtrend? If so, we can see the markets move higher into the year. But for today, that's where I believe the markets could be going if we're looking for calls. So if we can hold this red line and hold above the 200-day moving average, we could absolutely see the markets bounce back up towards around that orange line, right around 407. But to the flip side, what if we hit that daily downtrend again for the what? The second time? Third time, fourth time. And that truly is going to be resistance. And we truly are not moving higher. And we are going to crack back below that 200-day moving average. Where could we see the markets go to next if we are going to sell off from last week's high right at downtrend resistance? After we filled, not to mention after we filled that daily gap as well. If we fall below that red line, I believe we come back down to 400, right? Psychological support right around $400 here on the SPY. And then we do have to watch this uptrend, right? So we do have a very solid trend line here on the SPY that goes all the way back to early October, right? Early October lows. We come back through here, bounce in October, come through here, bounce in November, boom. And we just bounced again here last week. So we've had it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. So we can see we have downtrend resistance. We have uptrend support. We have the 200-day moving average that's really going to determine, in my opinion, where the SPY is going next. So again, to really keep it simple, to wrap this on up, to sum it up, what are my expectations today? And really that could bleed into this week here on the SPY. It all comes down, like I said, to that red line, guys. It all comes down to that red line. Above our 200-day moving average, we have potential to get back up to that daily downtrend. And that's going to put you right around 407. We start to crack below that red line, your 200-day moving average. We start the fade and fall back down towards around 400. And then we come back into that weekly uptrend. And if we ever crack that weekly uptrend, guys, that's when things get serious and things could really start to sell off to the downside. Because this year, you look at the SPY, we've had several uptrends. After we put in a bottom, we've had a lot of these uptrends. We've cracked them. We've dumped on off. Right? We've had several uptrends that we've cracked and we dumped on off. Several uptrends that we've cracked and we've dumped on off. So we have this uptrend. We crack it. What do you think could happen? We could most likely dump on off. So that's what I'm expecting for today. Really comes down to that red line. If we're above the red line, we play calls back into the downtrend resistance around 407. Below the red line, we play puts down to 400 and then this trend line. At any point in time we crack the trend line, we could absolutely start to sell on off. Crack the trend line, sell on off. Crack the trend line, sell on off. Where to? I would say the first level would be your 50-day moving average, which also puts you back down around 380 to fill that daily gap. Could that happen this week? It very well could. It very well could. So let's keep it on high watch. There's a lot of opportunities today throughout this week, guys, simply just watching the SPY. And you guys know 80% of my focus will solely be on the SPY. Okay? There's a lot of opportunity here. So you guys are all set there. But there are a few other stocks that I'm watching as well, really determining and really depending on what the SPY does, right? We know stocks like AMD. We know stocks like Tesla. We know stocks like NVIDIA and Netflix. These stocks are going to correlate and move with the broader market. So if the Qs and the SPY are ripping and running, these stocks are going to move on up. 80%, 90% of the time in the type of market that we're in. The Qs and the SPY are dumping on off. These individual stocks are most likely 80 to 90% of the time going to dump on off as well. So it really depends on what the SPY and the Qs are doing. So always look at the SPY. Always look at the Qs to make sure you're on the right side of the trade. For example, if you want to play calls on AMD, let's say AMD says buy calls, but you see the SPY cracking that trend line, for example. You may want to hold off on playing AMD calls because the SPY looks like it's going to dump. And if the SPY dumps, what is AMD most likely going to do? Dump. So always look at the SPY, always look at the Qs for that added confirmation before trading something like AMD, Tesla, Netflix, NVIDIA. So really quickly, we have about 5 minutes to go. I want to brush on these really quick. Team inside of chat, these were all posted. Right, these were all posted inside of levels for you guys. So more detail, more thoroughness. We'll explain these here later this afternoon as well, because AMD is more or less a swing trade. Okay, so right now, a couple things with AMD I want to point out is you do have some slight divergence here. You got a little bit of this daily divergence. You can see a little bit of this 4-hour momentum divergence here on AMD. And to keep it really simple, really comes down to this trend line. Okay, if the markets are moving higher this week, AMD most likely going to hold the trend line. I want to play calls back up to resistance at 79, and then I want to target that daily gap fill. Okay, so if AMD holds the trend line, markets are moving higher this week, right? I'm playing calls back up to $79, and then that gap fill between $81 and $83 here on the daily chart. So great day trade opportunity. That would turn into a nice little swing trade here on AMD. The SPY cracks the 200-day moving average. The SPY's dropping on back down to 400. What's probably going to happen with AMD? Probably going to crack this trend line. And then that really confirms our divergence, our daily divergence or 4-hour divergence. That's really going to validate that. And I would feel confident to play puts back down towards around $72.50 and then back down towards around $70 here on AMD. Okay. Netflix. Okay. Same thing. Watch the SPY and the Qs. But I'm looking for a gap fill rejection here on Netflix. You see that nice gap down, right? Where we had our low and our open actually right around 332.20, right around that region between 332 and 333 before earnings dump down the 250, that massive gap. I'm looking for a gap fill rejection here on Netflix to play puts for a day trade opportunity that could turn into a swing trade as well. Could that happen today? It very well could, right? We're only about 13 points away. It may not happen today. That's a pretty substantial move in one day, but definitely throughout this week. You're starting to see a little divergence. Nothing crazy, but you see Netflix is building higher highs, RSI making lower highs. Over the last 3 days, volume tapering off and selling off just a little bit. So it's not quite ready for the puts. But if we continue to see RSI confirming this divergence as Netflix is grinding higher, volume is falling as the stock is rising, and we get into this gap fill level right around 332 to 333, I would be looking for a gap fill rejection, which would be a nice day trade opportunity that could turn into a nice swing trade as we're seeing some divergence and we're seeing a decrease in volume at this time. It's still very, very, very early to be playing puts. It may not even happen today, but it's something that's on my radar. And if this does start setting on up, I want to make sure you guys are prepared. We're on top of it so we can lock in those profits. So Netflix is very appealing this week as well. And then last thing I want to point out is if the overall market looks good, strong, Santa Claus rally, woohoo, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. I think NVIDIA will be dropping some presents for us. All right, so it's really hard to not notice that really sexy moving average squeeze formation. That's all I'm going to say. It's really hard to not notice this really nice moving average squeeze on the daily chart with NVIDIA. Really comes down to what's the market going to do the rest of this year. And I think it's going to really, that's going to be determined today and sometime this week. Right around that 200-day moving average on the SPY. Right around that downtrend on the SPY. Right around that uptrend. I really believe that where we're heading to over the next couple of weeks will be determined this week. We crack that trend line. We're below the 200-day moving average. I think the markets sell off into the end of the year or move lower. We hold above the 200-day moving average and break the downtrend. We have a Santa Claus rally, and stocks like NVIDIA would be a great swing trade into the end of the year because NVIDIA alone looks really, really nice for that moving average squeeze formation. So there's no day trade here on NVIDIA at all. I don't even think there's a swing trade just yet until the SPY and the Qs make the decision on what we're doing over the next few weeks. And based on that decision, we may be able to make a decision here on NVIDIA for a possible swing trade, especially if the markets are moving higher. Again, team, all of this has been posted inside of Levels. So check it out, do your due diligence, get prepared. But it's safe to say we are all set, ready to rock and roll for today's trading session, right? Again, game plan for penny stocks. Sit back on your hands. Wait to see where traders go. What's that one stock that every trader lands on? That's the stock you want to, guys, get prepared on as well. That's the stock you want to be focused on. Watch your halt resume scanner, breakout scanner, high the day momentum scanner. Let's see where traders decide to go. But 80 to 90% of my focus out of the gate, team, has to be the SPY because the SPY right now is right at that 200-day moving average. All right, so let's wait and see what the SPY does. That's going to determine possibly what AMD starts to do here out of the gate. what Tesla starts to do here out of the gate. And same thing with some of these other stocks that we're looking at as well. Alrighty. So let's have an awesome day. Let's have a fun day. I know that's a lot, but there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to talk about this morning to make sure you guys are on top of everything, completely 110% prepared. The one thing that we need to be mindful of now is the SPY at the 200-day moving average, number one. Number two, 10 o'clock economic data. That's of high importance. That's all we can do right now at this point in time. Sit back, relax, see what the SPY does. 10 o'clock, see how the markets react. All right. And then wait and see where traders go with penny stocks and see where the best opportunity is when that time comes. So Tesla, if you're looking for like any kind of like put contract, you got two levels to keep on watch. You got 189, which was Friday's pre-market low that you could be getting rejected off of for a drop on back down, or look around Friday's low, not Friday's pre-market low, but Friday's low of day, right around 191. So, I mean, we know Tesla right out of the gate could be a little erratic. Don't we all agree? Tesla out of the gates, Monday, moving in pre-market, a little erratic. We could get in a little too early and take some, I would say just kind of sit back 3 to 5 minutes and wait and see. But yeah, I definitely think Tesla puts today makes sense, assuming the SPY cracks and moves lower, assuming the Qs can move lower. Like if the SPY holds the 200-day and works its way back up to 407, guess what Tesla's going to do? It's most likely going to correlate with the broader market and start to grind on back up as well. Where could we see Tesla go? Into this downtrend, right? Go back to Thursday's high a day, go into Friday pre-market, Friday's high a day. And we have a nice little downtrend as resistance here on Tesla. But if the SPY starts to crack that 200-day moving average and it's working its way on down to $400, and we do have Tesla below one of these two levels of resistance, I would definitely play puts at that point in time. So we are all set, ready to rock, team, okay? We're 2 minutes in, and I'm just watching the S&P 500 right here around this 403 to 404 level. So right now, let's see what the SPY is going to be doing here. Let's see what the S&P is going to be doing here coming on up. Just watching and waiting, guys. That's it. I really want to see what the SPY is going to do down around this 404-ish level, right around 403.70 to 404 here. It's safe to say I definitely need a computer today. I might go to Best Buy, grab a computer. My computer is absolutely spazzing out on me. It's fantastic. So right now, team, Jose, good morning, Javier. Hopefully that answers your question there on Tesla, bud. Hopefully that answers your question over there on Tesla. Right now, let's look at, maybe SHPH. Do we have anything there? No, not right now. SXTC, nothing here. Again, a little bit of a slower start to the day. Looking at our halt and resume scanner, we'll go check out maybe like UUU. Right, CND on the halt scanner as well. Nothing there. WBEV, just go from top to bottom. I understand that WBEV doesn't have any news. There's not really a catalyst here on WBEV. And you are coming into resistance at 56 cents. So if you're watching WBEV, just understand you have very strong resistance overhead at 56 cents. SPY getting a little bit of a bounce on up here. Out of the gate, a little bit of a bounce on up. Right off that 200-day moving average. Again, WBEV team, WBEV right now, a lot of resistance overhead here, right around that 56 cent level. Okay, so if you're looking at WBEV, got about 5 more cents before you hit resistance. That's right around your 50-day moving average. And if you look left, it's right underneath some of those daily lows, right around that daily support level as well here on WBEV. Okay, no trades yet for the day. I am absolutely tradeless. No trades, no option positions, no equity positions. My computer's spazzing out. Great. Like, I don't even know if I want to take a trade today because my computer's all messed up. Probably because my CPU's running at like 90%. I have no idea. Absolutely insane. Brutal. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube, all right, on YouTube, it is 9:37. You guys know exactly what we're looking at for today, my plan, and really my focus. It all comes down to the S&P 500, what we do around that 200-day moving average, and we're going to continue to readjust and get prepared and planned for today. But again, you know exactly what I'm looking at for today, the rest of this week, some of my top stocks, how I'm approaching today's trading session. Approach it the right way as well. Make it happen. Happy and safe trading. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And make sure you come back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. as we do it again. Getting you prepared for the trading day. My top stocks, my game plan every morning at 9 a.m. here on YouTube Live. Right? So make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You guys are all set, ready to rock and roll. Enjoy your day. Have a blessed day, and I'll catch you guys back here, like I said, bright and early, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Take care, guys. So looking at some of these pennies, guys, the only thing right now that's steadily moving on up is going to be WBEV. You do have LU getting a little bit of a pop here out of the gate. Chinese company getting some action, right? You have a lot of these Chinese-related stocks moving on up little by little. Right? Little by little here. So we'll just kind of keep these pennies on watch, like really back-burnered at this point in time. A lot of these are back burners. And you're really just waiting to see which one looks to be the most consistent, right? Which one looks to be the most predictable? Which one has the best potential for easy profits? Okay, you're only 9 minutes into the day. If you haven't taken a trade yet, it's okay, right? Sometimes the best trades come a little bit later, 10:30 in the afternoon. So again, don't be chasing these stocks. Don't think you have to be in right when the market opens to be doing something right. Sit back and wait for the best trade to come to you. We're watching LI here. Not LI, that's my bad. LU. LU. But now that we look at LI, why is LI dumping on off like this? Out of the gate, just straight nosedive, free fall mode here on LI at this point in time. This is something that I own long term. Yeah, we're just going to be watching LU here. WBEV. Looking to see if anything looks decent. Look at SXTC starting to dump on off. SHPH. Sitting sideways. Let's focus on the SPY here, guys. Let's absolutely focus on the SPY here. A little bit of this downtrend from Friday. So look at Friday's high a day. Look at some of these post-market lower highs. Look at these pre-market highs as well. All of these lower highs. You have a slight downtrend here on pre-market. Again, from Friday high a day. And we could see we have a slight little downtrend at this point in time. So let's keep that on watch.